Dirt has a better memory than most executives. It remembers every shortcut, every good enough, every time someone decides gravity is a suggestion. Before dawn at the Silver Vireo development, my boots sank into clay that wanted to move downhill. Floodlights turned the hillside into a harsh stage, rock huts, pallets, and a ribbon of orange silt fence holding back trouble. I am Rosa Bennett, crew lead for brush and brick grounds. We handle erosion control and drainage, the unglamorous work that keeps a project from washing into the creek. Tessa Green rolled up in a skid steer. "The superintendent wants the entry boulevard dressed up by first light," she shouted. "The superintendent wants sod that installs itself," I called back. "We finish the wattles first." Rain had been teasing us for days. The soil was heavy and slick. The wattles and inlet protection were not decoration. They were compliance, physics, and common sense in that order. My radio snapped. "Bennett, trailer, now." Brent Lasker waited outside the site trailer beside a glossy black crossover that looked offended by dust. Brent was Cinderline Holdings' new operations director, with a clean shirt and inherited authority. He pointed at the slope. "You are behind. Investors are touring after breakfast. I want that hillside green today." "Green is not a switch," I said. "Hydroseed needs prep. Mats need pins. If we rush, the first hard rain will peel it off." Brent smiled without warmth. "Your caution is expensive. We are cutting the extra erosion controls. Pull the second row of wattles. Skip the inlet socks. We already have straw." "We have straw in a steep grade," I said. "That is like bringing a napkin to a flood." He leaned closer, voice low. "Be a team player. The county inspector will not be a problem." "The county inspector will shut us down if the creek turns brown," I said. "Those controls are required by the plan." Brent straightened, eyes flicking to my crew. "I am giving you a direct order." I looked past him at my people working under lights, then back at him. "No," I said. For a heartbeat, he seemed confused that someone in reflective pants could refuse. Then his face hardened. "Give me your badge and your gate fob," he said. "You are off this site, effective immediately." Tessa stepped down from the skid steer. "You cannot fire her for following the permit." Brent snapped. "Watch me." I lifted a hand to stop Tessa. She had bills. I had a paper trail. I unclipped my badge and handed over the fob. Brent took them like trophies. "Collect your personal property," he added, louder now. "Anything that belongs to you. I do not want you returning." I walked to my truck, anger buzzing behind my teeth. Then I stopped and looked back at the work zone. Wattles, silt fence rolls, inlet protection stacked near the storm drain, and a water tank trailer parked by the culvert. Most of that extra gear was not Cinderline's. Years ago, when Cinderline decided renting was smarter than buying, I formed a side company, Bennett Site Safeguards. I supplied wattles, silt fence, inlet protection, and the water tank. The renewal paperwork was sitting unsigned at my kitchen table because accounting had been sorting it out. Brent had just ordered me to remove my personal property from a hillside that was barely holding. I climbed into my truck, started the engine, and watched the slope a moment longer. Dirt remembers shortcuts, and it was about to teach Brent Lasker a lesson he could not invoice away. I did not slam doors or throw tools. I drove my truck to the edge of the staging area and stared at the slope, the way you stare at someone about to juggle chainsaws. Brent was outside the trailer, talking into his phone, with the posture of a man who thought permits were polite suggestions. My crew kept working, but their shoulders were tight. When a leader gets marched out, everyone feels the leash shorten. I called Jules Moreno, Cinderline's logistics coordinator, the only person in that office who treated field crews like humans. "Rosa?" Jules answered. "Why is Brent shouting on the main channel?" "Because he just fired me," I said. "Log this call. He ordered me off-site and told me to remove my personal property." A careful pause. "Your personal property," Jules repeated. You mean the erosion gear? Yes, I said. Bennett site safeguards. Contract renewal is unsigned. If my equipment stays here after I am barred from the site, liability lands on me. Say it again for the record, Jules said. I said it again, slow and clear. Jules time-stamped it. Jules never argued with gravity. I started with the water tank trailer we use for dust control. Investors hated dust. Neighbors hated dust. Brent hated paying for dust control. I hitched the trailer and rolled it back behind my truck. Tessa jogged over, eyes wide. Rosa, please tell me you are not taking all of it. He told me to take my property, I said. I am obeying. That hill needs those wattles. I know, I said. That is why I bought them. I drove along the perimeter, stopping at each stretch of orange. The wattles were heavy and anchored deep. We pulled stakes, lifted, and loaded. My hands moved on muscle memory while my mind ran through the equation Brent refused to learn. Steep grade plus rain equals emergency. Melick Hargrove, one of my foremen, hovered nearby. They will blame you when the creek turns brown, he muttered. If I leave it, I said, they will blame me when someone slips, or when the county finds the project, or when a lawyer asks why my equipment was on a site I was not authorized to enter. Either way, someone blames me. I prefer paperwork. The inlet socks came next, the sleeves that keep sediment out of storm drains. Each one had my company tag. I pulled them, stacked them, and tied them down. No sabotage, no theatrics, just a clean withdrawal of every safety layer Brent had called extra. Silt fence rolls went into the bed. Sediment bags followed. The last items were the geotextile blankets, still in their packaging, waiting to be installed. Brent had wanted the slope greened. He was about to get a different kind of lesson. While I worked, Brent did not look my way. He was still performing leadership into his phone, laughing too loud, talking about efficiency like it was a magic word. When the truck was full and the trailer secure, I took one last slow lap. The hillside looked naked now, exposed clay under floodlights, like skin without a bandage. I did not feel triumphant. I felt calm in the way you feel right before a storm. I drove away from Silver Vireo with a truck full of orange safeguards and a mind full of questions. The biggest one was not what Brent would do next. It was what the rain would do. When I pulled into my driveway, the sky already looked bruised. My truck bed glowed orange under the streetlight, packed with wattles and fence like I had robbed a safety warehouse. My sister Janelle opened the door and took one look. Why is your truck wearing a construction zone? I got promoted, I said, from crew lead to trespasser. Janelle set 2 mugs on the table. Somebody in a clean jacket? Somebody in a clean jacket, I confirmed. I spread my paperwork out. Invoices from Bennett Site Safeguards, equipment tags, the unsigned renewal, and the call log Jules had time-stamped. If Brent tried to paint me as a villain, I wanted the truth printed in bold. Outside, rain began in earnest, thick and steady. Not long after first light, an unfamiliar number called. "This is County Environmental Compliance," a woman said. "Inspector Avery Sato. Are you Rosa Bennett?" "Yes." "We have a discharge complaint from the Silver Vireo site," she said. "Sediment is entering the creek. Who is responsible for erosion control today?" "Not me," I said. I was removed from the site before dawn by Cinderline operations. I was ordered to remove my personal equipment. A crisp pause. "Do you have documentation?" "I have time-stamped calls, invoices, and tags," I said. "Good," Avery said. "I am heading there now." My phone rang again, this time Tessa. Her voice sounded like she was running. "Rosa, it is bad. Water is sheeting off the cut. Storm drains are choking. Brent is screaming at everyone, including the sky." "Are people safe?" I asked. "So far," she said. "A delivery truck slid near the culvert. We barely kept it upright." I drove back towards Silver Vireo, without crossing the gate. I parked on public shoulder and watched the hillside in the rain. Clay bled into channels, without inlet socks. Storm drains gulped mud until they spat it back out. A brown plume pushed through the outfall into the creek. County trucks arrived with lights flashing. Avery Sato stepped out in a rain jacket, clipboard in hand. She walked straight to Brent. Even from a distance, I could tell Brent had lost his fight with cleanliness. Mud streaked his sleeves. His hair was flat. He looked like a man discovering that nature does not respect job titles. Avery pointed at the creek, then at the slope, then at the access road where mud had spread like icing. Brent talked fast, hands moving like he could argue with water. Then he pointed, hard, in my direction. A minute later, my phone lit up with Brent's number. I let it ring twice, then answered. "You stole my equipment," he snapped. "My equipment," I corrected. "You ordered me to remove it. You sabotaged this site." "I followed your instruction and protected my liability," I said. He inhaled, then forced his voice into something sweeter. "Rosa, we need you back, immediately." "Am I rehired?" I asked. A pause. "Do not be difficult." "I'm not difficult," I said. "I'm documented. I can email the records to Inspector Sato in 5 minutes, or hand them over in person. Either way, the truth arrives before lunch." Avery's voice cut in close to the phone. "Ms. Bennett, send everything today, and stay available. We may need you as a consultant." Behind her, Brent's mouth kept moving, but he had lost control of the story. The rain kept falling, and Dirt, faithful as ever, was keeping receipts. I emailed Avery Sato a folder so thick it could have been used as a doorstop. Invoices, photos of tagged equipment, renewal drafts, and Jules's time-stamped note that I had been ordered off-site and told to remove my property. Paper does not raise its voice, but it wins arguments. By late morning, the rain eased into drizzle. The creek stayed brown. Avery called. "We issued a stop work order," she said. "Cinderline is required to implement emergency stabilization immediately. Their operations director says you acted out of spite." "I acted out of liability," I said. "Spite would have required glitter." "I need you on site as a consulting erosion specialist under county authority," she said. "Will you do it?" "Yes," I said, and I told them the wattles were required. When I arrived, a county deputy waved me through the gate. Brent saw me and stormed over. "You have some nerve," he said. "I do," I said. "It keeps me from sliding downhill." He pointed at my truck. "Bring the equipment back, now." Avery stepped between us. "Mr. Lasker, this is not a negotiation. Your site is in violation. Miss Bennett is here as a county consultant." Brent's jaw worked. "Fine. Then bill it to us." "I will," I said. "At emergency rates." We moved fast. I directed rock-check dams, set straw bales at the outfall, and installed inlet protection with proper anchoring. My crew helped, and the slope stopped bleeding quite so hard. Avery walked the perimeter with me. "Your controls were in place yesterday?" "Yes," I said, until Brent ordered them cut and then fired me. She handed me a daily inspection checklist Cinderline had provided. At the bottom was a signature. My name. My signature. Not mine. The loops were wrong, the pressure wrong, the flourish forced. Whoever forged it had practiced on a napkin and hoped no one would notice. "He falsified compliance documents," I said. Avery photographed the page. "We are opening an investigation." That afternoon, a county engineer and a procurement auditor arrived. They asked about slope materials, what was specified, what was installed. I led them to geotextile rolls near the staging area. The fabric was thin, the weave cheap. The plan called for heavy stabilization cloth. This was garden path grade. "This is not compliant," I said. Brent cut in. "Approved vendor. Best price." Avery studied the shipping sticker and read the supplier name out loud. Lasker Green Supply. Brent's face twitched. The auditor asked, "Who owns this supplier?" Brent smiled too fast. "Third-party distributor. I do not know." The auditor turned the label over and read the return address. It was an apartment complex, 2 exits from the site. The same complex Brent bragged about at meetings, the one with the rooftop pool and the rules about not grilling. Avery looked at Brent the way a person looks at a cracked ladder. We will need purchase orders, bank records, and every vendor agreement tied to this project, she said. Brent's smile died. That is excessive. So is dumping mud into a public creek, Avery replied. While they argued, I stepped into the trailer to grab the stormwater plan binder. Brent's laptop sat open on the desk, abandoned in the rush. An email chain glowed on the screen, subject line bold as a confession. Swap fabric grade, keep invoice premium. I took a photo. Dirt keeps receipts. Brent kept digital ones, and I was finally holding them in my own hands. The funniest part of a corporate meltdown is how quickly the loudest person becomes a whisper. Within days, Silver Virio stopped pretending it was a vision and started admitting it was a mess. County notices went up on the gate. The creek got testing flags like tiny angry toothpicks. Brent Lasker's confidence shrank to the size of his phone screen. Avery Sato asked me to sit in on the first compliance meeting as a technical witness. Cinderline's attorney arrived with a briefcase and the optimism of someone who had not yet read the email I photographed. Brent tried to regain control with vocabulary. This is an unfortunate weather event, he said. A rare storm. Avery did not blink. Rain is not rare, she said. Fraud is not weather. I slid my folder across the table. Invoices, equipment tags, the call log, and the forged inspection sheet. Then I placed my phone on top and opened the photo of Brent's laptop email. The attorney's eyes narrowed. Ms. Bennett, where did this come from? From the desk he abandoned while he blamed the sky, I said. And yes, it is as bad as it looks. The procurement auditor connected the dots fast. Lasker Green Supply was registered under a relative's name. Invoices billed premium stabilization fabric, while deliveries arrived as bargain cloth. Stormwater logs carried my forged signature like a bad mask. Brent attempted a pivot. We were optimizing costs. Everyone does it. My sister Janelle murmured, everyone also stops at red lights. Avery issued a formal referral to the district attorney for document falsification and environmental violations. She also required remediation, creek cleanup, sediment removal, and a redesigned erosion control system. The stop work order stayed until the slope was stabilized properly. Cinderline's founder called an emergency board meeting. Brent was escorted off the project the same day. The irony was delicious, but I did not gloat. I watched consequences finally do their job. A week later, Brush and Brick Grounds asked me to come back. Not as crew lead, as project manager on the county-supervised remediation contract. The first thing I did was reinstall the wattles, inlet protection, and silt fence under a clean, signed agreement. We used the correct stabilization cloth. We rebuilt the damaged inlets. The hillside stopped trying to escape. Tessa pulled up beside me one morning, coffee in hand. So, she said, is this revenge? I looked at the creek. Clearer now, flowing like it remembered what it was supposed to be. Revenge is personal, I said. This is maintenance. Brent's case moved quickly because evidence is stubborn. He took a plea with restitution, heavy fines, and a ban from managing permitted projects. His clean jacket did not save him. Paper did. When Brent tried to blame me publicly, Avery released the county timeline. His order, my removal, the missing controls, the forged logs. The story flipped overnight. Suddenly, I was not the problem. I was the witness. Months later, the investor tour returned. The entry boulevard was flawless. Ground cover held the slope. The creek ran clear enough to see stones. A man in a suit shook my hand and said, "You saved this project." I smiled, polite and sharp. "No," I said. "I stopped it from saving money in the dumbest possible way." Dirt remembers shortcuts. So do I. That is why my company name is now on a sign by the gate, Bennett Site Safeguards. Not because I needed a trophy, because some lessons deserve a permanent address.